meet you. Yeah. Sorry about the phone thing.
I could say,
but you still need it. I do.
I've been to the games and that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. No, I know. Good to see you, sir.
Okay, so you're on 1, I'm on 6.
Okay,
Pat, phone is gonna be 2.
but we can't get that.
Hey, this is Tony B of Rainier Avenue Radio. Are you looking
I
for
didn't bring
funding
my
for your
adapter.
community
Okay, no Pat,
programs?
that's okay.
The Seattle Park District has 3 great funding programs for community activities. Arts and Parks, Get Moving,
God dang it.
Recreation for All.
You got what you got, right?
If you want to learn more, you can stop
And then
by
where's my
these
music?
drop-in information sessions. One on August 21st
music?
at
What do you mean?
Northgate Community Center.
Come
from 2
in.
to 7
I got the intro that follows
August
right after the
22nd,
break.
2 to 7
Radio,
p.m.
radio.
Jefferson
I got it.
Community Center.
Oh, dude.
Learn more by stopping in at one of these drop-in information sessions. All of these programs focus on funding.
Somewhere in the middle where I'm
populations,
talking or
including
something, you're gonna have to schedule the break that happened between this and
refugees the LGBTQ
Yeah.
What is it?
community.
Liners?
Seattle Park District.
Liner,
Three great
how long
funding
community update,
programs.
promo,
2 opportunities for you to
community
find out
update,
more
liner, yeah.
about them at drop-in information sessions. You can ask questions.
It's Liner. What else?
Talk to folks there.
Liner,
Again,
community
August
update,
21st,
promo,
2 to 7 p.m.,
promo,
Northgate
community
Center,
update,
August
liner.
22nd,
That'll make 3 minutes.
2 to 7 p.m. Jefferson
We don't have news updates at
Community
the moment,
Center.
so.
If you are looking for funding for your community programs,
Does he
you
have a phone
really
3?
need to be
I don't know.
iPhone? Is that us?
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star
Ask me if he
Time.
has an iPhone.
And when I'm not
what
busy
kind of-
tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.org.
No, I just need the adapter. Do you have an adapter?
Need an adapter?
All I need is the adapter. I don't need the phone. What do you got?
You don't have the adapter.
The one for here, no. That's all.
Oh, it doesn't fit your phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, yours won't work because you can't plug in with yours.
All right.
Well.
No, turn it on. There you go.
Well. There we go. We are here on Metro Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire, and who we have right now, D-Money's in the house.
All right, turn my mic on, Maz.
Oh, man. I got to do
6.
the whole mic
6.
thing. 6?
Yeah, there
What's
you
that,
go.
5?
6. No, 6. 6.
6?
No, 6. Oh, next one to it. Next to it. There you go. All right, thank
So
you,
now you
Maz.
want
It's
7?
great to have. It's great to be back on the program. I know it's been a couple weeks, but really happy at what you've been doing with Metro Sports Weekly, Maz. Really appreciate the direction you're taking with the show. Your interaction with Pat. You're just up in the game.
Up in the game. Well, first of all, there is we're not supposed to apologize, but you know what? You know who's working the Starship Enterprise here. So live shows.
So you're Picard?
Yes, no. Oh no, James T. Kirk. Oh no.
Oh, okay.
No, you gotta
The first
go back.
captain.
The first
Okay.
one. Yeah. I need more power.
when-
Scotty, give me more.
Wouldn't coach be the appropriate term for Metro Sports Weekly?
I probably would be coach, and what I would say would be Pat McCarty, who will join us in a little bit here. He would be the
Assistant Athletic Director for Seattle Public Schools.
yes, and he would be what, the Federation?
Federation.
Yeah, I mean he's the guy. I mean he's the one that's calling all in terms of the. Well, he does facilities, and they do so much. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
wow.
why it's so great to have him on the show. He
Yeah.
does so much, and yeah.
Yeah, and I know the office has had a busy week. There's an issue that we're definitely going to be discussing with him about we'll just say it right off the top, a bomb threat happened and
Yeah.
a game was canceled.
And and it's we had him on the show again, and this was something that we talked about in terms of it's great. We'll hear from him
Yeah.
what exactly, and yeah, and we're actually ringing him up and
Okay.
really hear from him in terms of what happens behind the scenes, because the parents, bless their souls, they're worried, and the kids, they're in lockdown and they don't know what's going on.
It's a very scary situation.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get Pat McCarty on the phone, Seattle School District. So in the meantime, you and I talked about this off the air in terms of now we ain't trying to get you all to go over there and not tune in, but right now on Root Sports, big game, big showcase for the Metro League.
Yes, going on right now at Eastside Catholic on Root Sports. Number 1, Eastside Catholic, which just took the ranking away from O'Day, moving to number 2. They're playing against Rainier Beach, which is number 7, and unfortunately, Rainier Beach's last game got canceled because of that bomb threat. So they're 2-0. Eastside Catholic's coming into this 2-1. They played a couple games out of state. They lost one of those down in San Diego, I believe. They won the one where they hosted the one. They played a team in Oregon.
Yeah, they did.
Very interesting game. Obviously, all of these records don't matter because they were non-league. So this is the first one that matters for both of the squads.
I'm gonna reel you back for a second.
Okay.
And now look, I went to Roosevelt, so I got no skin in this game. How did O'Day? They beat Bothell 28-3.
Right.
Luke go get to number 2.
Yeah.
They were number 1. Daniel,
from my understanding,
please do.
Well, we take the rankings from maxpreps.com, and one reason why I trust maxpreps.com is it's completely computer. There's no opinion, and what had to do with strength of schedule. Basically, O'Day struggled against a very unranked Bethel team. They barely beat them. This was broadcast on Rainier Avenue Radio. It was a close game. It shouldn't have been. And other than that, they've played Peninsula and they've played Bothell. 2 teams just within the 25 ranking. So they're like in the 20s, something like that. Whereas Eastside Catholic has played some of the best teams in some other states, both in San Diego, one in Oregon that they hosted. And so I guess the computer rankings ended up, Eastside Catholic's strength of schedule has gone up. O'Day's schedule strength has gone down. It was the difference between 1 and 2.
Okay, fair enough. And you gave a shout out to Max Prep. I'm a Seattle Times guy, and have been for a little dating myself, but back in the day, there used to be the PI and the Seattle Times, and the Seattle Times used to only come in the afternoon. That's all on now. It's in the morning.
Instead of the morning.
Of the morning. But look, where I'm going with this is this.
We're going with
Max Prep and Seattle Times concur with what you're saying, D Money, in terms of Eastside Catholic. This is I'm looking at 3A Seattle Times, if you will.
Does the Seattle Times update every week though?
They do.
I know they did at the top of the year. They put Eastside Catholic first.
Yeah, no, they flip flopped. They did well. They're still number 1, Eastside Catholic, and the rankings for the preps, the Seattle Times come every Thursday. And shameless plug, I've been trying to get back to my Seattle Times ranking on Seattle Sports Weekly, which is on Thursdays from 12 to 1. But we've been running our mouths about the Huskies and the Seahawks and oh Lord. But let's get back to what we love and know in terms of the prep. So I'll tell you what, while we try to figure out what's going on and what we could do in terms of Pat, because he's on the road, and so y'all know when you travel, things happen and whatnot. And I'm not saying he missed the flight, but I'm just saying
I'm curious where he's at. He's always here with you every week.
Yeah, he is, and when he is, we got the dynamic duo when we get going. You know, it's like Batman and Robin, and I ain't gonna say, well, I'll be the Dark Knight, but you know what I'm saying. But either way, so. He's doing his thing, and it's nice when you miss. See, that's the thing, because some people, y'all just check sometimes when you're not where you're supposed to be. If anybody notices you're not there, you know what I mean? That's just something to take note.
It either shows your value or the fact that you can be replaced
with the quickness. And by no means can we replace Mr. Pat Marcarthy.
No.
I'll tell you what I'll do. We always spend so much time on football, and I think that's just a cultural thing, because it drops down NFL, college, and all those things.
Most of the money is in football.
Exactly.
So all of these programs, from what I heard from Pat, is all of the money flows into football, and this creates the opportunity for soccer and volleyball and swimming and track and golf, all this to even have an opportunity to play.
Okay, Mr. NCAA. The football programs get all the nice facilities and whatnot. Yes, okay, but that's what I mean. It trickles down from all the different levels out there. It really does. So, having said that, I know. See, that's great about having you in here because we can really go down and take a look at the standings in some of the other sports in terms of who's where. We got swimming. We got swimming
going on, fall sports. We got girls swim actually. We have golf, boys and girls. We got cross country, boys and girls. Girls soccer, girls volleyball, and I believe there's even some ultimate frisbee.
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine, Chuck Gargley. I got to bring him on. He teaches. He's an instructor in middle school, but also he is really, really prominent in terms of the ultimate frisbee community, if you will. He's got friends that coach and those kind of things. But
right.
D Money, why don't you take us through a couple of the standings that we have?
Okay. Let's start with girls soccer. Now, only 2 league games have been played in the Mountain for each of the 6 squads in there. But right now, the only ranked team in girls soccer right now is Seattle Prep. They're ranked number 5 in the state. They're 2-0 in league. Holy Names is also 2-0. However, Seattle Prep overall is undefeated, 6-0. Holy Names 5-1 overall. Lakeside 1-1. Eastside Catholic 1-1. Bishop Blanchette 0-2. Bainbridge 0-2. However, they both have won non-league games, so nobody in the Mountain is winless. In the Sound, you got Chief Self up top. However, only these teams have only played 1 league game so far, so it's really early to be able to see who's going to be the leader in the Sound. But Chief Self right now is the leader. At 2-3 overall in the season, West Seattle has not played a league game yet, so they're sitting at 0-0. But right now they're undefeated on the season, 3-0. Garfield is sitting at 1 tie on league scores. However, overall they're 1-1-1. Ingram in the Sound also 1 tie. They basically Garfield and Ingram tied each other. Ingram is 1-3-1 on the season. Cleveland is sitting in last in the Sound, 0-1 on league, 1-2 overall. In the Valley for girls soccer, all of these teams have only played 1 league game so far, so too early to tell who's going to be in the leader. But Ballard and Franklin are both 1-0 in the Valley. Ballard is 2-1 overall. Franklin 3-1 overall. Roosevelt has not played their league game yet. However, they are 0-5 on the season so far. Nathan,
Whoa.
0-5 on
in
the season.
What?
In girls soccer.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, 0-5 on the season so far. Roosevelt.
Is my guy Chris the coach? All right, and sorry to put a little. Thank you for the update. You know what? Here's what we're gonna promise you. Before it's all said and done, we're gonna get the girls' high school, the girls' soccer coach at Roosevelt to somebody explain me what's going on in my.
Well, they haven't played a league game yet, so technically all those 5 losses don't count.
Okay. In that case, all right. As you were, sir, because me and the Rough Riders, you know.
Finishing those rankings for girls soccer in the Valley, Nathan Hale and Rainier Beach have started this season 0-1. Nathan Hale is 1-3 on the season. Rainier Beach is 0-3. They along with Roosevelt are still seeking their first wins of the season in girls soccer right there. You can check out some girls soccer action this weekend. Tomorrow, 4 p.m., check out a Mountain matchup. Holy Names, which is a 2-0 in league versus... They'll be at Lakeside 1-1. Saturday, 7:30 p.m., Ballard taking on a 4A opponent, North Creek at Pop Keeney.
Pop Keeney Stadium in Bothell.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually quite yeah, you know what? That's the other thing about, we're talking about facilities and those things. Pop Keeney, that's actually one of those amazing places. One of those, well, I would say prep type of incredible atmosphere. And you know what? Yeah, the whole
Marcarthy is joining you.
The whole plug is actually to go out and get out to prep sports, and we can now go with the whole "Where is Pat?"
Oh, where in the world is Pat McCarthy?
Pat, are you there?
Where is he?
We're good.
We have found Pat McCarthy.
Well, man, so great to hear. Now, we didn't find him. We got to give a shout out to Mr. Tony Penn because he was the one. Y'all, the great thing about
everybody on Facebook Live saw the whole process.
Yeah. But you know what? We're a team.
Tony's got the bat line.
Yeah, he does. Man,
Yeah.
we are family. So, hey, Pat, how you doing, man? Where you at? What set us the scene.
Hey, I'm doing great. I needed to take a trip to St. Gilbert, Utah for it was an event for the WIA. I sit on the WIA executive board with Eric Dupree, and we had a regional state association meeting in St. George, Utah.
Ah, okay. I'm sorry. Yes, please. Oh, wow. Okay, and so what are you all discussing? I mean, not the whole agenda, but yeah.
Yeah, not the whole thing, but just to give you like a little synopsis, is that there's professional development classes that are put on, so there might be somebody there that's talking about the latest athletic training methods and concerns. There's somebody there that's talking about the latest what state associations are doing for classification, those kinds of things. And then it's also an opportunity for each of the states to share what's going on in their state, what issues are the biggest issues that are going on for them, and then kind of have some discussions and some brainstorming about what's helpful, what's going on in your state and what's helpful and for others to learn. So that kind of thing.
Fantastic. So y'all, yeah, I mean, that is really good to hear that, all the organizations in terms of this collective, almost like the NCAA does as well, right? Because when people don't know that when they have the NCAA Final Four, there's a coaches convention and all that going on. So let me ask you something. We will ask you something. What did you all bring to the table in terms of some of the cutting edge stuff that the Metro League is doing?
Well, it's not so much for this. It's not so much the Metro League. It's the state of Washington.
I'm sorry. Okay.
The state organization. So, and some of the, and really, we are on the cutting edge of a lot of issues with the state organizations in terms of nationally. We were one of the first states to have concussion awareness and a concussion protocol for return to play. And so now we were the first state to do that. Now every state is doing that. So, we're on the forefront of the transgender policy. We're one of the first states to have a policy for transgender athletes. So, we're one of the leading states in terms of how we run our tournaments and so forth. So, the state of Washington, I would say, is in a really good place in terms of leadership among the state associations. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because when the state of Washington did the whole transgender policy, that was something that I'm glad that the state is getting credit for that because that was something that was done. I read a couple different publications, but that was done effortlessly and in the name of inclusiveness in terms of sports, bringing those two realms together. So that was incredible. Hey, a quick. The other thing that we want to ask you is this thing about where last week Rainier Beach, the game was canceled because of a lockdown.
Correct.
Now, take us through because that's what's great about having you here. Now, and again, we talked about this at the top of the, because we know the parents were worried and that the safety of the kids was number one. So how does that, you get the call and then what happens? Can you take us through that?
Well, I'll walk you through, and each situation is different, as situations come up in schools. But when a situation comes up in a school where there's a problem or it's going to affect students or a game or the school as a whole, schools go into their procedures and the things that they're trained to do. So if it's a lockdown situation, those things are practiced at school. So in this particular case, that Archbishop Murphy was having some serious issues with some threatening issues with some of their kids. their administration determined that that it was a serious threat, and they were not able to play that extracurricular game. And so what they did is they called Rainier Beach High School, and they talked to George Foxy, the athletic director, and the principals who were involved in this as well, and they determined that they could not play that game. So once that happened, then on our end, then we try to get the communication out. So, obviously to the football coach is one of the first calls, so that, where his players and so forth, and then it branches out from there, and then we have a message to our districts, so that the district communication department can answer questions as calls come in and so forth. So that's kind of how things work.
Yeah, and to your point, this is really a shout out to the administrators. I know you all at the central office are incredible, but it isn't about me, but my work at the Garfield Teen Life Center and having worked with Ted Howard, Greg Brashear, and some of those guys. Yeah, they're incredible. And there was a couple incidents. We don't even name what happened, but just like you said, with precision and velocity, in which it was safety for everybody on campus, and then getting the word out to you all down there, getting the word out to the community. It's just, it's incredible. And more times than not, than I can remember, safety has always rang true. And incredible. So I'm going to do a run on.
Everybody has the best interest of the kids, at heart. So, when there's any question about student safety and so forth, you've got a lot of people that are looking out for students and doing the right things for students. So, people are going to spring into action for them.
And doing the right thing, Dean Money and I were talking about that is the best thing is right now. And we're not sending people there, but Root Sports has got we got 2 Metro League teams playing right now.
Currently in action right now on Root Sports, Eastside Catholic, Rainier Beach.
And
absolutely, that's a big game. We're actually in our first league week is this week, and that Rainier Beach Eastside Catholic team, you've got 2 powerful teams going at it right now.
Yeah, and again, we will not stop talking about it, about how the athletes and the quality of play continues to rise. And Daniel actually talked about, we looked at the ranks and talked about Eastside Catholic being number 1, and then O'Day, and how O'Day was 1, Eastside Catholic got number 2. But it was because of Eastside's Catholic tough division, and you and I talked about that. They had to go down to Oregon and play that game. So, it's great to see. I know it is when the kids can turn on the local cable and and see some of their buddies, some of the kids that can't go to the game, and say, hey, you know what, there's Lakeisha, Mookie, Ray, and all of them on TV, because you always
big deal for kids to get on TV. They love it. Their friends get to see them, so it's an exciting event.
Absolutely. All right, Daniel. What do we got in swimming wise? Can you tell us what the standings?
What's going on with swimming? Girls swim currently in action right now. Tomorrow you can check out Holy Names taking on Bainbridge at 3:30. At 4 o'clock it'll be Ballard versus Bishop Blanchette. 4 tomorrow, Garfield versus Roosevelt. Also 4 o'clock tomorrow, Nathan Hale, Chief Hale. There you go.
Chief Say that 3 times quickly.
In West Seattle, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. as well, Ingram and Franklin, and 4 p.m. Cleveland versus Seattle Prep. Looking at the rankings so far, pretty much some of these teams have played have done 2 league games. Some have done 1. Some have yet to do it. But at the moment, Lakeside, Bainbridge, and Roosevelt are all sitting on top with having won 2 meets apiece. Bainbridge of the 3 has won 1 more league non-league game than the others, is sitting at 3-0. Seattle Prep, Nathan Hale, and Ingram have all won 1 league game apiece. Franklin is at 1-1 on the league. Chief Self, O'Day, Rainier Beach, and West Seattle have yet to do a league game yet. Cleveland, Bishop Blanchette, and Holy Names all have lost their first league match, and Garfield, Ballard, and Eastside Catholic are 0-2 league for girls swim and dive. Now some of these numbers are a little bit off in that some coaches have not reported scores, so we're doing the best we can to give us the best information here.
And let me just Pat, you got anything for us? If not, I just want to go back to that game and note this would be the Rainier Beach and Eastside Catholic because of note. Washington, because there's about 3 players. I mean, there's plenty of players playing in that game that are worthy of note. But I just want to point out Nathaniel Calipe, who was on his way to the Washington Huskies. He's committed there. He's a lineman. Will be playing against his buddy Cal, who's committed to Cal. Oren Patu, a two-way player who'll suit up for Beach, and I would be really remiss that Eastside features 5-star sophomore linebacker JT Tumoluau, and this is the one 4-star junior receiver G. Scott, buddy of mine G. Scott, and I've talked to G. Scott Jr. And you know how it is. You got to get that stuff out, because if you don't, and you see G. Scott Sr., G. Scott Jr., man, what you guys have in Seattle Metro Sports Weekly, and you don't talk about what's going on. So that's the little shout out there, if you will. And then,
I got a score update on that game, actually.
Yes,
in the first quarter, Eastside Catholic is handling Rainier Beach 14-0.
Oh, really?
Already.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't really root for anybody but except the Rough Riders, but
Good luck with that.
It is what it is. You know what? So listen, do we need to go to break? Can't hear you. Bad phone line. You know how that goes. So Daniel, you know what? As we're running up on the break here, let's. What are we doing here, Rainier Avenue Radio? Because that is one of our
this weekend. 2 games broadcasting live from Memorial Stadium. First game at 5 p.m. Check us out tomorrow. Seattle Prep coming in with 3-0, undefeated on the season so far, versus Garfield, which has lost to 2 non-league opponents that are both ranked, by the way, 1-2 there, and then that'll be followed by a sound matchup at 7:45. Chief Self coming in at 1-2 on the season versus Cleveland, which lost their they've only played 1 non-league game that we know of, 0-1. That'll be broadcast on Memorial Stadium. So 2 there, but the first one, though, is got to be a huge one there. Seattle Prep's coming in with all this energy, winning all these games handily. And Garfield has, although played tougher opponents, the record is what it is. Although this is the first one that counts.
All right.
It'll be a really good game. That will be an excellent game.
Yeah, and so you know what? I don't know how this happens, but we're close to the break here in terms of
one-on-one is next.
One-on-one is next, and then that's a wrap in terms of another week. Pat, you and I talked about this and having D Money on there. It just flies,
It does fast. We encourage listeners to come out to the games and come out to the schools and watch the kids live, because it's a lot of fun to see them.
Yeah, I mean that's really what we're trying to do here at Rainier Avenue Radio .world is to really we have fresh, innovative type programs, but a lot of it is really focused on we've got the high school kids because of the high school experience. Because as much as we change, technology changes the experience in America for the high school kids is fundamental in terms of what it is that they go on to do, and because we all can remember our high school years and how fun that was and the friends we made, and
yes,
so that's part of why we do what we do. And as always, Pat, thank you for hopping on board. You're over there, and you said Utah? St. George, Utah. So,
wow.
So all right, so we will see you next week, and thank you very much for taking the time out as always, my brother.
Okay.
All right.
So I think that is it.
That's going to be it for us today, Mazda. Thank you for having me on. I know I'm going to be not around again next couple of weeks, but appreciate you running this show, man. It is now, obviously, people know it's your show now, and letting people know about what's going on with their league and their teams right here in Seattle High School.
And having said that, don't forget those Thursday night Seahawks games, so don't go too far because I'm going to need your help. All right, D-Money, you are a professional, and people have no idea how much time you spend down here, and it's appreciated. It
Thank
really
you.
is. All right, we out on Metro Sports Weekly.
Rainier Avenue Radio .world, breaking radio
Got it.
down.
Check the line. There's one that says 441.
441?
Yeah. Check. I mean, check my auto DJ. You can switch it, right?
Oh, what the hell is that?
I don't know what that was doing.
I'm going to get that out of the way there.
Yeah.
Held every Saturday.
Dude, that was cool.
10 a.m. to 2
Yeah.
p.m. through the end of October.
All right, get Dupe in here.
Community Center in Seattle.
Where's Dupe at?
Mr. Dupree, he's ready. Okay, let me. Hey, we gotta do a show one day. God, I'm gonna have to get a couple more of those adapters. A good show, man. Did you make it? No. I thought it was fun. Good job, Daniel.
Thank you.
The only thing between you and I is coming back here twice.
How long do we have? And where do you want us? Al's here. He's in the
Is he here?
Yeah, he's here. He's in the restroom.
Okay. And I have to be behind the boards. Why don't we have you both on the table here? I'll move this camera so it faces both of you guys.
Okay,
So jump on that mic right there, dude.
okay.
I'll get this laptop out of the way.
Let you know. Okay, mine's gone.
Okay. Oh, we really need to get your. What is it, James Brown?
Yeah, say it loud.
When I'm not explaining to my intern exactly what R&B is, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not stopping a Mercer Island street brawl, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Okay. Your mic is on.
Welcome to another edition of One-on-One with Dupe. I'm Rick Dupree, your host, and we are live right here at the studios at Rainier Avenue Radio, and hope you are tuning in and ready for a great show. I'm so excited, and before we get into and introduce our guest, I just want to talk a little bit about a couple things so you are up to speed and know what's going on. I know everyone is familiar with our sports programming that we have going on here, but let me just run down the list real quickly so you are familiar and aware. And then I also want to throw out just a couple of hot topics real quickly, and then our guest will be in the studio with us. But make sure to tune in Mondays live at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8, Lid Line with Granville Emerson and Renal Peppy Bean. And then Sports and Stuff with Paul Schneiderman every Tuesday at noon. That's the first run. And then you can hear reruns throughout the week. And then on Tuesdays at 12:30, NYC with Juan Cotto and Will Sanchez. Or I should say Will Sanchez and Juan Cotto because it's NY. That's Will. And then Seattle is Juan. Seattle Sports Weekly with Mazvita, who you just heard on Metro Sports Weekly. And then, again, Metro Sports Weekly is live at 7 o'clock. And then One-on-One with Dupe right here at 7:30. And Fitness Corner with Mark Bryant on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. So that's our sports programming. Not to mention our live coverage of Metro League, primarily Metro League, but prep football this Friday night. Tomorrow night, we have a doubleheader for you from Memorial Stadium. You have Garfield and Seattle Prep. That game at 5 o'clock, Tony B., Edwin Bailey. They will be giving you the play-by-play and the rundown, the color. And then at 7:45, Chief South and Cleveland. Juan Cotto will be giving you play-by-play with Edwin Bailey. I'm normally in that seat, but I will be in Portland checking out my daughter. She's opened up in the color purple, so got to be there to support my baby. Anyway, with that said, I am so pleased to welcome to our studios a man who has influenced a lot of young lives not only in Seattle but all over the country. But certainly for me, at some formidable years of my life between the ages of 19 and 21, he was my coach out at the University of Washington. Legendary coach. Can I call you legendary?
No, not legendary.
Al Roberts.
Thank you, Rick, very much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man, it is great to have you here, and it's fun because one of the things with One-on-One with Dupe, this show, that I wanted to do is really highlight the positive about individuals and just let our listeners hear and learn something that maybe they didn't know about our guest. And so, there's enough negative stuff out there, and we could talk about all that, but it's just fun to do this. So, man, it was fun doing a little bit of research, and I learned some things about you I didn't know. I didn't know before you were at Garfield, you started on Mercer Island.
Yes, I was Mercer Island, and I'm first class affirmative action. All through my life, they needed a black coach at Mercer Island High School. Since I was black, I got the job.
You fit the bill.
They needed black coaches at University of Washington. Since I was black, I got the job. But anyway, thank you very much for having me. And I coached Little League football here for a while too, in the Seattle area, and I enjoyed every minute of that. But I'm in my transition years now. I was building up, trying to be successful. And on my way back, I'm looking at significance more than success every day and every time. So I'm enjoying every minute of my life right now.
You're listening to One-on-One with Dupe. Al Roberts is my guest, and talk about looking for significance and kind of building these young men in contrast to looking at wins. I mean, talk a little bit about that. That's always been something that you've done, but it sounds like even more so now.
No, before I was always looking for success. I wanted to win ball games. I wanted to have the best players. I wanted to have the best wins. I wanted to be the best coach. And as you go through that whole life of things, you find out the significance of making sure that the young guys become men, that they not just are trained, but they are developed and transformed. So that took a long time. I had to grow up first, and then I turned around and tried to help grow up and pour into young men right now. So that's my biggest thing, just pouring into young men and women too, but that little hard-headed guy, I'm more into him, more into trying to train young guys and making sure that they become okay gentlemen. We don't have enough men around here that are truly awesome men, so that's my job right now. I still substitute and I still coach at O'Day High School, and the whole idea is just to train men and pour into kids.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and I was looking back, and at the time I was at UW, you were in your mid to late 30s.
Yes.
So you were a young man, young coach, but you poured more into me and the guys that you coach more than you know, and certainly made an impact. I mean, there's certain things. I mean, one of the things I remember you taught me, you said, Rick, I can't treat everybody the same. I'm going to treat them fairly. But he said, some guys I got to wrap my arm around. Some guys I got to put my foot up their rear end. Some guys, and so I learned the importance of getting to know your personnel. And it certainly has helped me in my professional world, as a leader, as a director, whatever the case may be, where I've got a staff, and I got to realize, so there's things like that, man, that you may not realize.
And, and I've even changed even more than that. I don't even treat guys fairly anymore because I don't know what fair is. All I can do is deal with the unique you and do the best I can with you. And the next guy is going to be different, completely different. Yeah. And so, like husbands and wives can't love their sons and daughters the same. It's impossible because each child is unique. And so you love that uniqueness about them, and you go into it and you go all out with them. Same with football players. I tell parents now, I cannot treat your sons the same as I treat the other sons or the other kids there. I'm not going to. Can I be consistent with that, young man? I'm going to try to be. Yeah. But trying to be fair with all the guys, no such thing. Yeah. And I don't try.
Yeah. Our guest is Al Roberts here on One-on-One with Dupe. And Coach, as I did some of the research, and I remember what many people say was the greatest football game in Seattle high school history. And so I last night I went online and did a little bit of research. And I remember that game because I was in middle school. I was 13 years old. And November 7th, 1975 at Memorial Stadium, and had almost 13,000 fans there.
Yes.
And it was absolutely incredible. But looking at some of the backstory, Roscoe Bass brought you on board.
Yes.
They were looking for some discipline. Garfield, their record. I mean, back years before had been pretty formidable, but had some really poor years, and they wanted a young guy to come in to bring some discipline.
And I was to discipline, and I was undisciplined myself. I was 28 years old at the time.
Oh man, yeah.
When I took over Garfield, but let me tell you, as that ball game, it was a tremendous ball game. 13,000 people at the stands, and when the game was over, no one left. That was the biggest aura that I could really understand. I could really enjoy. And that ball game, it was so-called the inner city school versus the Catholics.
Yeah.
Last year, I was with the Catholic school versus the inner city. Mm-hmm. That was last year. Now, Kenny Gardner, one of the running backs, defensive backs, was on that team at Blanchette.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night when we play, O'Day plays Blanchette, his son will be on.
Are you kidding?
On Blanchette's team, number 2, neat little kid out there, neat little running back and defensive back. So, 40 years later, I'm enjoying every second of it, and I'm not trying to retire. I have no idea what retirement is, but I'm just going to go and go and go. And as long as there's a child, as long as there's a football player, as long as there's a big-head young man out there that needs help.
And there's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them. And I'm going to hang around and hang around and hang around.
Yeah, no doubt. As I look back at that game, I mean, both teams going into that game were 8-0. You had turned the program around, had some great young players. And, the Powell brothers, Daryl and Kevin.
Yes.
Anthony Allen was a sophomore.
Bruce Harrell.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you look at it. So you had Bruce Harrell, who was a leader of that team in the defense, and you look at Joe Steele, Blanchette, and then they were obviously together at UW, and then you ended up being there as well. But just some incredible storylines. And one of the things that I read in the article, went back and read one of the articles from that period, and it said the following week you took those guys, a lot of those guys, and you went to an assembly.
We went to Blanchette's assembly. We did the whole, as much as the football team as we could carry. We went over and enjoyed them, and by the way, they lost that game. They lost the next week, and I was talking to the head coach, and I forget, he passed some time ago now. Yeah. But we both felt like whoever won that game was going to lose the next week because it was so much emotion. Yeah. It would have been. It's hard to get back to playing at another level, but that was a fun game. Yeah. That was a fun game, and for me, that was our state championship. That was our high. We enjoyed it. It was fun, and like you said, Daryl Powell, who has a team now, a young man now on O'Day named Mishael. Kevin, Anthony Allen, Lindell Jones. It goes on, and they were the leaders. I wasn't. They're the ones that turned Garfield around. Yeah. Because there was a bunch of leaders there, a bunch of young men that wanted to do well, and they did it. They turned it around.
Yeah, that was an incredible evening for Metro League football here in Seattle. Our guest is Al Roberts on One-on-One with Dupe. And Al, I mean, as I look at your career, then you went from there to UW, and Don James hadn't been there very long, so early in his career. Talk about that transition going from high school to college and what ended up being the legendary Don James. I mean, literally, and you guys, I mean, had some incredible teams there, and led, I think, early on by that '78 Rose Bowl win over Michigan.
That was my gift. That was my gift in life, going to University of Washington, and as you know, Garfield kids allowed me, or pushed me to University of Washington, and I ran into another gift called Don James, and it was his third year, and I went there with the idea that I knew all there was to know about football. I mean, I was so horrible. And Don James caught me up and trained me and mentored me and guided me all the way through. And I was at University of Washington for 6 years. That stint, those 6 years, I went to 5 bowl games. Of those 5 bowl games, I went to 3 Rose Bowls. So I had a wonderful ride. I was on a wonderful high. It was a fantastic time for me, and it just jumped me on and on. And again, I said over and over, those Garfield kids from the middle 70s are the ones that led that team and pushed me to University of Washington, which led me into the NFL. And so now people try to talk about paying back. Rick, I'm not trying to pay anybody back. All I want to do is give. Yeah. I want to give just like it was given to me. Just give. And I can't give anyone a NFL contract or college, but I know I can give all the talent and time and treasure that I can right now.
Yeah, no doubt, and it certainly shows. And so, again, I mean, we can go down the list of where you've been from the USFL to the Canadian League. You were there in Edmonton,
I was
the
at
NFL.
UFL. Remember the UFL team over in Florida, 2009 and 2010. So I've been 21 pro years.
Yeah.
I've been in all the leagues. I bounced around to a couple of different colleges, Purdue and Wyoming, which were fun teams. Different than Washington now. Completely different than Washington. All the NFL teams I've coached in all four corners of this country. The United States is my office, and Seattle is my home.
That's Al Roberts right here on One-on-One with Dupe. And I mean, talk a little bit about just that as you went to the pros, what was that like? Because again, you said you have been all over the nation. You've coached with a number of different teams and programs. Maybe contrast from high school to college to the pros and the differences there.
Well, one of the first things I learned when I got to the NFL in 1984, Houston Oilers, a guy named Guy Bingham said, Al, the thing about coaching the NFL is you have to give guys information they can use. You have to give them information they can use. And he said, and if you make a mistake with a pro, he won't forgive you. He will not forgive you. If you make a mistake with a college player, he'll know you made a mistake, but he'll forgive you. The high school kids don't know you made a mistake. They don't know enough about football. But that was the biggest thing. Give them information. Try that in anything you do, anywhere you want to. Give them information they can use, and you got them. So you go out and you study, you work hard, you make sure that in all facets, if a young guy asks you a question, you can give them some information. Now, the information, they may not use it right away, but they'll think that you're okay, and they'll come back to you again. Hey, Al, this is what I asked you a question. This is what I did with that question. Now, may I ask you another one? So now here we go. So you have to continue to study, stay on top of the game. And if you don't know, Rick, you tell them, I don't know. And that's the safest place you can be.
Be honest.
Just, hey, I don't know, but I tell you what, I have some people I can find the information from, and I'll go to work on that.
That's a good leader. But I tell you, I mean, one of the things that I remember you as a coach, you motivated me. But you were honest with me. You were always honest.
I didn't know if I was honest or not. I know I was hard on you.
You were hard, but you were honest to a fault. I mean, and I remember, I'll never forget, we were talking about, I was trying to make a decision. I was a walk-on. Yeah. We had guys like Jacques Robinson, Cookie Jackson, Sterling Hines, and we have all these guys in front of me, Dennis Brown. And I said, Coach, man, am I going to ever get a chance to play? And you looked at me, you said, Rick, you can have 4 great practices out there and 1 bad one. And Don James is going to say, I told you so about that 1 bad one. Yeah. So a scholarship guy like Jacques can go out, have 4 bad practices, one great one. And he said, see, I told you so. We've invested money in it. So he said that it's going to be very, very difficult, but you were honest. And I ultimately decided after my, 2 years there, I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on get my degree and what have you, but still had the itch. And so, played the semi-pro and then got the chance, had to try with the Giants and then played Arena League. But I think as a coach, and what I appreciate is that, just again, your honesty. But you motivated me, man. And I see that, and it's fun to see you back now. You come full circle and with these kids. And I remember, I think it was last summer, I went down to Genesee. You guys were practicing. I got to see you out there, and man, it just brought back so many memories.
Same energy, same love, and sometimes a young guy will ask you a question, Rick, and you got to tell them the truth. But sometimes you can't tell them the whole truth all at once. You got to tell them, say, this is true, this is where you are right now, this is where you are. And eventually the whole package will come to you. Then you'll have to make a decision. Yeah. Is my ability is on par with my dream? And if it is, stay with it. If it's not, someone needs to tell you that enjoy your playing and play as hard as you can and see if you can get in the game, get late in the game. But if not, this may not fit you. Yeah. And football isn't for everyone. But it's not for everyone. But it's for us knuckleheads.
Yeah. I know that's true.
Us hardheads. It's for us.
It's funny because I talked to my brother David, who you know obviously very well, and he says, "Hey man, I did not like to hit." He said that it was very clear, but he said the thing about me, he said, I was fast. Yeah. And so he told a story about when they played USC. Yeah. And he said, man, I used to always line up on the inside because nobody could outrun me to the corner, so I wasn't worried about it. Yeah. He said, except number 32. And he said OJ got injured or was knocked out of play, and he wasn't paying attention. OJ came back in, and he was lined up inside. And OJ got the ball, student body right. He said, oh oh, you know what? And he said, OJ got to the corner, kind of looked at him. David looked at him, and he said,
well,
man,
let this one go.
70-something yards later. Yeah. But I mean, it's funny because he talked about it. He said, man, talking about me. He said, you were hard head. You get it. But I mean, I had to be as a small guy, you know, and it wasn't that it was no fear. Fear is what motivated me. You're listening to One on One with Dupe here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Our guest is Al Roberts, and I tell you that's you know, for me that motivated me. But I mean, having, again, like I said, a coach like you and having teammates that kind of pushed you certainly is something that you get guys to achieve more than they think they can sometimes.
Well, you try to, and you try. The biggest deal is just pouring into him, just pouring into the kid. You see what, try not to look at his weaknesses, look at his strengths, and try to compound those strengths if you can, and let him look at those strengths. And a lot of times, I know people use the counselor effect of just talking about the weaknesses or the things they can't do and try to control those things. But no, hey, you can run fast, so every chance you get, run fast. No, you're a strong kid, so every time you get a chance, use that strength. And that's, you try to get that to him. And hopefully you can apply it to the defensive scheme, special team scheme, or the offensive scheme. And hopefully you try to find a place for that kid somewhere. We all can do things in part now. So we try to find those parts and put them together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember one other story. Then I wanted you to think about kind of what drew you to coaching. But before you answer that question, you talk about kind of giving guys positive affirmation and what have you. I don't know if you remember this, but it was we had a guy by the name of Scott Garnett.
Yes, big Scott
on the defensive line.
Yes.
Who was a big man, bench press over 500 pounds.
Yes.
And you remember we used to run out of the eye the 50 draw series, and you know, and the pat. Well, we did a play where I got the fake, and not more than a second. I mean, basically, Scott broke through the line. I got in his way, okay? Enough. I mean, he ran over me, but enough where Pelluer got the ball off. And you're talking, oh, great block. I'm like, dude, man, he just ran me over. And stuff like that.
But you're in the right place at the right time. Little body or nobody, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
If you block someone on time, whether you get beat or not, that's a good block.
That's a good block.
That's a good block. What drew me to coaching, Rick, was I wasn't a good athlete. I was not a good athlete, but I could see it. I would study it. And coaches says, Al, you help us. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So as I can see it and coach it and teach it, that led me to coaching. And I started off with Little League. And I started off with assistant football coaching at Mercer Island High School under Dave Enslow, who was a fundamental coach. And I had a great time with him. And I went to Garfield High School, and I had to learn on the run because I did not know. But I had a defense coordinator in Doug Rickerson. I had Ron Davis, had an offensive line coach, and I had a couple of secondary guys that came in and helped me. That was neat. That was really neat. So I had some starting points, and little by little. And then the first year or two, it was horrible. And along come Darryl Powell, Kevin Powell, Lindell Jones, Michael Finley, Anthony Allen, Bruce Harrell. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah, you guys.
Doc P. They all came along at the same time, and then all of a sudden they said, Al, you're a legend. I said, well, with that many athletes, of course you're going to be a legend. You can call me what you want to call me. Yeah. But we put a offense together for them, put a defense together for them, and special teams, and the kids turned it on. Yeah. And I never had to worry at that time about guys coming to practice or not because Anthony Allen and Darryl Powell, Lindell Jones would make sure everybody got to practice. I didn't have to worry about those things. And it was back in the day, and we had fun. And I asked Lindell Jones last week, how did our teams compare to these teams? And he says, so much more is accessible to ball players today. So much information, so the equipment, the field, everything is. And when I was at Garfield, we had to go across the field first to pick up all the glass, put them in the helmet, clean the field, and then start practicing. Yeah. But now it's a nice, smooth field out there. You see it, and they got a wonderful team going again, and it's just beautiful. But those were the days that we struggled a little bit in the beginning. But what got me into coaching was other coaches. Other coaches and other teachers, and I want to continue to teach and coach. And when I'm 90 years old, I'm gonna coach Little League again. I'm gonna keep on coaching.
You're listening to One on One with Dupe. Our guest is Al Roberts, and got about 5 minutes left here.
Yes.
But Al, if as you look back on your career, and even now today at O'Day. Can you identify one of the most memorable moment? Is there something that sticks out for you?
Well, obviously the Garfield Blanchette game. Yeah. I'm going to go back to that. The first time I went to the Rose Bowl with Don James and Huskies when we beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl. When we played in the Fall Bowl, when I was at the Eagles, and we played the Fall Bowl over in Chicago Stadium. We did that. And, of course, the Bounty Bowl at Dallas Cowboys, when they said we put our bounty on those guys. Those are great, great moments. Those are great. It was a lot of fun. I talk about the rain game we had against the Patriots when it rained like 6 inches in an hour, and the temperature went from 65 to 68 degrees because it got hotter rather than colder. Yeah. And we won the game because we kicked out of a smooth field, 3-0 out of a smooth field. Mm-hmm. But those moments in football. But more than anything else is those millions of guys that I ran into. And that's why I use Facebook today. Those millions of, there's a bunch of Rick Duprees out there that I call and I talk to, and I just said, hey, I love you too. And I may never see him again. But there's a bunch of guys out there now. There's a bunch of guys that I've ran into, and I'll miss them and love them forever. Yeah. No, that's a beautiful thing. Is there anything that sticks out as like, man, if I, as a coach, if I could have changed that, I would have? If I could have changed my presentation when I applied for the Stanford head coaching job. I could have changed my presentation. My presentation, I just wasn't fully prepared for every question. I wasn't prepared. I needed a format, and I knew Don James had one, but I didn't get it from him. Mm-hmm. See, that was one of the downfalls, or regrets, if you will. But you have to have a format, a formula that you follow. This is what we're going to follow. This is how we're going to do it. And Gary Pinkel continued that same deal. Nick Saban is still doing that same. It's not that I would have been a good head coach or not. I'm just saying, if you had a format, something to follow, and you're disciplined enough like Don James and those guys to follow that, and you're able to pick out athletes and get a staff together, you just wish, you just wish it was better. But I don't complain about anything. I'm having a wonderful life, wonderful coaching life. And if I had to do it all over again, it would probably end up just like this. Yeah. Just like this, because this is the way it went for me, and I'm still happy about it. Yeah. What as you do what you do, what motivates you now? And I think I know that you talked a little bit about it, but early on, what motivated you to really want to focus on building young men? Coming out of Merced, California, myself, being a failure. Just being a failure yourself. You coming up. Yes, I had a wonderful dad. I came up and I needed to read more. I needed to do other things more. I needed help here. I needed help there. So, and I had some coaches that helped me. Reached out and helped me. So I said, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to reach back, pull up, do it as often as I can. So, just being pulled up by a coach, I'm going to in turn pull up another young man if I can. Absolutely. Our guest is Al Roberts here in the last couple of minutes. You're back at O'Day tomorrow night, taking on Blanchette. Yes. And kind of get full circle for what you talked about. Blanchette again. Yeah. I mean, and in about 30 seconds or so, you're on a staff. Monte Kohler and O'Day continues to, ranked number 1. Yeah. And just it's like a machine every year, pumping out, just great. What are some of the keys behind that? That's Monte Kohler, and believe it or not, Monte Kohler is a high school Don James. He really is. And if you look at it, we still run the same offense that they ran then. If you look at it, we run the same offense. And it's my purpose and continued thing is to help Coach Kohler on his journey. I want to be a resource to him and for him. Yeah. And help him behind his back with the other young kids, those kind of things. So if I can be a resource, if I can help him, if I can be help him with being a lieutenant, I'll do that. And I want to work hard at it. And you're doing that well. It was great to see last year the Metro League coming up, seeing the competitiveness within the Metro League, and O'Day still kind of king, if you will, and target on your back. No, it's still tough. Eastside Catholic, Garfield, Rainier Beach. We still have some battles now. Oh man, they're going to be fun. Yeah, there's definitely some talent there. There's going to be some talent. Yeah. Well, our guest has been Al Roberts here on One-on-One with Dupe, and you can check him out on the sidelines with O'Day High School. And as I said, check out his career. He has done some incredible things with a number, as he said, of
young men, thousands, millions of young men, but no, he's just been an incredible coach. So, Coach, thanks, man, for coming in.
Much.
Really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of One-on-One with Dupe. Make sure to check us out every Thursday night, 7:30 live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm Rick Dupree, your host. Until next time, peace and God bless.
Is that okay, sir?
Yep, mics are off.
All right. Yes, sir.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
Thank you.
Mics are off. Thank you.
You know, it goes so quick.
Was that 30 minutes?
Yep,
Jeez.
that was 30 minutes.
Wow.
So I used to do, when we first started, I've been doing this for a little
Holy
year now.
crap. Eastside Catholic is kicking the crap out of Rainier Beach right now.
Really?
27-0, second quarter.
Wow.
Here, listen to this.
28 now.
Listen to this.